of the questions that I have for you right now. So I will circle back and see if any other board members have additional questions for the health department at this point in time. Ms. Jenkins, was there anything I did not cover that you wanted to get to?
Yeah, thanks.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So, well, first and foremost, Mr. Susan, that memo that you said was sent to you, just a quick Google tells me that that is a social media viral post that is misrepresenting the CDC announcement of the COVID-19 PCR test. Yeah.
Audience members, I'm going to ask you again, please stop interrupting the business of the board.
So if I can respond to
Please
it.
stop interrupting the
I'm not
business
accusing you
the
of
board.
doing anything wrong.
Mr. Susan,
you said you
take a
received
deep
it.
breath.
And you should be ashamed of yourself. Read the Nuremberg.
Stop.
If you guys would please escort him out, and we are going to take a brief recess.
It's ridiculous.
All right, we are back in session. And Mr. Susan, I think you had requested to respond to the memo that Ms. Jenkins referenced.
Absolutely. Thank you for the time. I just want to let you know it is not from a social media, viral, whatever it is. It's literally the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, cdc.gov, and anybody that goes ahead and types in lab alert changes to CDC RT-PCR for SARS-CoV-2 testing will find out and go to their website on their site, and it reads, in preparation for this change, the CDC recommends clinical laboratories and testing sites that have been using the COVID or the CDC 2019 CoV-RT-PCR assay select and begin their transition to another FDA-authorized COVID test. CDC encourages laboratories to consider adoption of a multiplexed method that can facilitate the detection and differentiation of SARS-CoV-2 and influenza viruses, which in that statement from their site says that that test has difficulty doing that. I had every right to ask the Department of Health for their opinion on what was on the CDC's website, being the fact that every single one of our recommendations comes from the CDC site. I wanted to make that clarification. I texted it to you, Ms. Jenkins, so that you can verify and then also look at it to verify that it comes from the CDC website. Can you please do that? It's on your cell phone.
So
I just want that part cleared. It's not that I look on social media websites that are not
Mr.
there.
Susan.
This is from that site.
Hold on.
That's it.
So, thank you, Mr. Susan. So, I believe that the Department of Health is requesting to address the memo as well. Is that correct?
Thank
that
you.
I'm hearing from.
I would love that, but can I get clarification that it was not from a wild site and that might...
So, Mr. Susan, I would have loved to give you that clarification if you had submitted that to us before bringing it up here at the board.
I would like Miss... Hang on. Can I please have Miss Campbell verify
and
that
secondly-
I sent it days ago?
Ms. Jenkins and Mr. Susan, stop.
No,
Can I
hold on a
please-
second.
Okay.
I want to clarify. I'm not accusing
but
you of
here's
anything.
what's going on. This needs to stop because we're interrupting each other. If you all want to have
it's
the
my
mic
turn
and
to
want
speak.
to have discussion, then you are absolutely welcome to do so. But speaking over each other is not getting us anywhere.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
So I will be happy to recognize you all to respond as long as we were doing so respectfully and not interrupting and speaking over each other.
Okay, I believe I had the mic before we went to recess.
I don't think we are reverting to recess, but I will be happy to come back to you, Ms. Jenkins, momentarily. Our friends from the Department of Health, I would like to give you your evening back. Would you like to respond or clarify the memo in any way, shape, or form?
Yes, I'm sorry, when you asked the question previously, I didn't understand your question.
Audience members?
I have seen that, a CDC report. It is actually a laboratory alert, so it's basically out there for labs, okay, professional labs. And what it's saying is that at this point in time, the PCR testing that has been done within the laboratories was done under an EUA agreement, and that those EUA agreements are going to be going away and they have to be using FDA approved. Also, when it talks about the influenza and the COVID testing, one of the things that they're wanting to promote is the multi-testing. So when your child goes to a pediatrician, they can do one swab. And on that swab, they can do a PCR testing and they will test multiple diseases. So it'll be a COVID, influenza, RSV, and several other diseases all at one time. So I'm a little confused about the question that you had asked me in the way that I interpreted the lab alert.
Thank you so very much for that clarification. We appreciate it.
You want me to just follow up?
What are you wanting to follow up with?
She said, I didn't understand your question, and I wanted to say thank you for getting where you were. Where I originally was, I was trying to just get down to the bottom of one of the memos that was sent to me from an ICU doctor, one of the largest ICU docs in the entire, that he runs the ICU in the state of Florida. And I did send it to you via text, and Ms. Campbell just verified it. I'll ask her to do that in a second. But that's all. I was asking that in the event that it couldn't determine the two, they were asking for a separate one, and I didn't know if you could get to that. And I read that to believe that that test did not determine between the two.
No.
And so in the event that we needed to change, could it be? And that's why I was asking about the influenza.
Yeah,
That was all I was asking.
Yeah, I didn't. I'm sorry, when you were asking that question, I had read that article, but I hadn't read that in the article, so I didn't understand.
Sure. No, that was all. And that's why I was just trying to get down to the bottom of it, if those influenza, that's one of the biggest topics that we have here, is that the influenza rates are lower than they should be, and it could be COVID, and I wanted clarification, because you guys are the people that are in
Yes,
charge. So I
yeah.
just, as far as the CDC and the DOH,
And
that's
as I
all.
said previously too, we have seen not just influenza decrease, we've seen multiple diseases decrease, and that was because we were socially distancing. We were staying inside, we weren't going out to restaurants, we were wearing masks. So all those things that we put in place not only helped us with COVID, it helped us with multiple diseases. And you can see that in the disease reporting that we've received throughout the state of Florida and throughout the United States. So these mitigations do work. They work not only for COVID, but they work for multiple diseases.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
That's all.
Thank you,
If I could
Mr.
get Ms.
Susan.
Campbell to verify that she did get the text.
Ms. Campbell already verified that we received
I already-
the text
I
earlier
already
in the week.
verified
Ms.
that. Thank you.
Jenkins,
Thank you.
Did you want to finish?
Did you want to respond to?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. It was
I've
on
been
the
asking
CDC
to.
website, and I gave it to you guys.
Great. Okay, well, is it my turn now? Okay, so I'm going to restate what I said.
Okay.
Okay, I said viral posts misrepresent CDC announcement on COVID-19 PCR test. Here was my concern about the statement you previously had made and you had asked them. It sounded as if there was an issue with the PCR test that would have false positives for COVID because they might have been influenza. So my question to the DOH is that what that memo is telling us?
No.
No.
Thank you.
Okay. But
So hold on, I have the microphone. I'm not attacking you. The sounds of the room might make it feel that way, but that is literally what I read off of my screen, and that is how I interpreted what was asked. And I want to make that clear, that the change in that lab doesn't mean that those numbers are inaccurate prior to July 21st. And I think that's really important to re-articulate to the people who are listening. We have a lot of questions about hospitalizations, and as much as I care about that and I care about the numbers increasing, I'm glad we don't have children in ICU, and I'm glad we don't have them hospitalized, but we all know that they can still spread it to the rest of the community and to their families. And you guys had already given us some information about how our hospitalizations are rapidly increasing, so I think that's really important to bring up again. I do have a question for, I believe it would be for Chris Moore. You might not want to get up yet because maybe it's not for you. But when we're talking about sports, I would love for somebody to please come up and tell me how many athletes were quarantined, how many had cases, how many games were canceled this school year due to COVID?
So I apologize to the board. We do have that information. Dr. Ramjet did keep that information. I can have that collated into you by Monday.
And I appreciate it. I didn't expect you to have it. I know it was just a conversation that came up. From my memory, I'm not quoting this by any means, but I feel like when we were given the amount of activities that were canceled, it was around 200. But I would love to come back to that number and talk about that. I do have a question for the DOH. And I've asked this in the past, but forgive me, I don't even know if you are the same people who had answered for me last time. But have you seen any negative patient outcomes with children wearing masks?
No.
Thank you. So I have one last question.
And I think that you
Oh,
can
I'm sorry.
reflect to that American Academy Association of Physicians and what they state on their website.
I have one question, and I have a funny feeling you're not going to answer this one for me, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So if I am a teacher in a room with at least 30 students, given a pretty standard class size, would you recommend that I be in that room with those 30 students without any of us wearing masks currently?
No.
Again,
Thank you.
you know, we're not here to dictate what the policy of the school should be. Okay, but at the same time, I think common sense measures are common sense for a reason.
I had one question and a follow-up.
I'm going to ask our audience again to please keep the chatter down so that we can hear each other and we can hear our friends from the Department of Health and we can get through this and move on to our other points, okay? Ms. Jenkins, are you done?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Susan.
So I had one follow-up with the CDC, and then I did want to say, Ms. Jenkins, my follow-up question, and I'm sorry, Madam Chair, that I had jumped in there, right? That was inappropriate. Ms. Jenkins, if you can just verify that for me and for everybody that's here, that the accusation that this was not a CDC website memo
That's not what I said.
was not part of that, like you accused me of, and then also, can you verify that I sent it days ago? That's all. That's all I just want to know.
Ms. Jenkins, would you like to respond to Mr. Susan's
Yes.
request?
So I did not say that it was not a CDC memo. I read, if I did, I'm sorry for that, but I read specifically, viral posts misrepresent CDC announcement, which in of itself says there was a CDC announcement, right? And I am concerned about how the question was asked and how it wasn't yet answered by the DOH that would lead the public to believe that these tests were not accurate and they were falsely claiming people had COVID. That is not helpful to spread to our community, and I felt like it needed to be clarified. Can I verify that you sent me an email? I cannot do that. I'm being honest with you because we've had hundreds of emails. I also had a really wonderful state representative put out my personal cell phone that has been bombarding me constantly. So no, I can't. But did you just text it and I just read it? Absolutely. And I'm not saying you may not have emailed it, but I have not seen it. No.
I apologize. It was, I said it again. It was a text that I sent to all of us a couple days ago prior to your cell phone being sent out, and I just wanted verification that you had received it. I didn't know if it's good. We're good. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Last question. So there was some clarification coming to me from different people saying that quarantined individuals